So I was just alerted to the Sentry issue the other day, and it came in through Slack. And most of our customers have Slack or email notifications set up whenever Sentry issues come in. So I'm not totally sure how serious this issue is, but I'll walk through debugging it with you to see what happened. So we can see from the title that it says network error and Ajax response returned 405. And that's not a lot of information. I still don't know what that means. So let's scroll down to the tags and see if there's anything interesting. So it looks like the URL tag is saying that the error happened on my Pokemart site on the cart page. So I was just on the cart page and I managed to check out, and that was no problem. So I wonder what happened differently here. And let's look at the stack trace to see if that gives us more information. So it says no additional details are available for this frame, so unfortunately we can't use the stack trace to help us solve this one. Now if we scroll down to the session replay preview, we can see that this looks pretty similar to the page I was just on. Here's the items that were in their cart, and here's the checkout button. But I'm not able to see what they had in their cart because all the data is masked. But before we jump into the replay, let's take a look at the breadcrumbs and see if that has any more helpful information. So here's the exception that happened, and all these events below it happened right before. So we can see that there was some sort of user click right before on a big dark red, text white, rounded full. I don't really know what that means. So maybe it's time to jump into the replay and see how that can help us solve this stateful issue. So you can see that it takes us immediately to the errors tab, and at 49 seconds is when the error happened that we just saw. But if you notice, at the same exact timestamp, there's another error that happened as well, and this one's called inventory error, invalid Pokemon selected. So that's pretty interesting. Maybe there was some sort of invalid Pokemon in the cart, and that's what triggered the error. But I'm still not completely sure, so let's jump into the network tab to confirm what was in their cart. So I'm going to jump to the current timestamp, and here's the post request that failed. So let's go into the request and the request body, and you can see this tells us what was in their cart. So we have Wartortle, Pikachu, Mewtwo, Diglett, and Jigglypuff. And even though we can't see what they had in their cart in the replay, the request body tells us that information. So this is something that you have to opt into in order to see in your session replays, but it's a super helpful tactic that you can use to debug similar issues. So now that I know what was in their cart, I can probably infer that one of these or multiple of these Pokemons were invalid, and they tried to check out and something went wrong. But to confirm exactly what caused the error, let's head to the breadcrumbs tab and see what happened right before the error. So here's the user click that we saw before, but now there's a lot more information and context surrounding it. So if we hover over this panel, you can see that this button is highlighted at the same time. So I think that's the checkout button that we just saw, and it means that when they click checkout, these errors immediately followed. So now I have a very comprehensive overview of what happened when this user experienced the errors with the help of the network tab, the errors tab, and the breadcrumbs. And now I have everything I need to solve this issue. And even better, we can now use the replay recording to rewatch what happened when the user encountered the error. So let's start from the user click that happened right before the error. Let's go into full screen mode and let's click play. And you can see that the user's clicking on the button and then the error pops up. So they weren't even able to check out. So it looks like this issue was a lot more serious than we realized. And I'm really glad I had replay to help me figure out all the context that the issue couldn't give us originally. We were able to see that because there were two errors that occurred at the same time, the network error and then also the invalid Pokemon error. And now I'm going to go investigate this invalid Pokemon error to make sure that it doesn't happen again.